Sometimes when I'm having a bad day, I'll just come out and I'll see if this window's still impact rated. Seems to still be impact rated. But I wanted to make a video today talking about egress. So we had a customer recently that has a small opening. So this window, if it still opens, actually meets egress, or obviously would meet egress. The homeowner that we're talking about today, they had a much smaller window. Say it was only, their whole window was only the size of this single side of this horizontal roller. And they actually had a single hung, which is a window that opens up and down. So if you have this small space, this window might not, if this was just a single window, this window might not qualify as a egress window. Now, what is an egress window? Egress window is a window or an opening that opens large enough for somebody to get out in case they have an emergency. What kind of emergencies would you experience? You know, typically what they're concerned with is fires, or maybe you have a gas leak or something like that. The main concern is typically a fire. Firefighters to get in, individuals to get out. Now, in the case of this window, if it opened up and down and this did not meet egress, in Miami-Dade County or Florida Building Code, you do have what's called the like-for-like exemption. So if there is an existing single hung and you wanted to replace this window with an existing single hung, the building official can still come in and say, no, I want the window to meet egress. And at the end of the day, you could eventually win the case, but it's gonna take time and money. Most people don't want to spend that. So what typically would happen is they would be forced to have what's called a casement window. Now, I personally think casement windows are the nicest windows that we offer. They're the best looking. It's one solid panel. You don't have any breaks as you do in the horizontal roller, even though you would need two casements or a double casement. The single hung, you have that metal break and you have two individual pieces of glass. The casement window is just one big fixed piece of glass that opens up with a hand crank. Now, I understand what the concern is, you know, as far as, you know, you have more moving parts. How's that window gonna work in 20 years? So I understand their concern. And then an additional concern is the fact that the casement window is also the most expensive window that we offer. I don't know if any of you remember this, but a lot of homes in Miami's, and some still do, they have bars in front of the windows. So bars are no longer accepted. We can't install bars on windows because in some cases, they would install permanent bars in front of windows. Or if they were supposed to be operable, they can be stuck, or they can become stuck. So what happened many years ago is that there was a family that experienced a fire in their home. They were forced to enter into one of the bedrooms. The bars that were on that window were supposed to operate, but it was rusted shut or there was a lock. I'm not sure exactly what the story was, but they were not able to get out, and the family actually perished inside their own home because they couldn't get out of the window. Now, what I told our project advisors to advise to the homeowner is, I understand that the casement window is a small upgrade. It's gonna be a little bit more expensive. I believe it's only $300 to $400. At the end of the day, the reason that we have egress, the reason why that we have that window as an option is so people can get out in case of an emergency. Now, imagine, because you're trying to save money or because you don't like how the window looks, that you find yourself or your family in a terrible position to where you're stuck inside a room. This is a paver, you know, I wanna say this is a 10 to 15 pound paver. We have CBS blocks, broken roof tiles. I don't have my sledgehammer, but we basically, 280 pounds right now, probably a little heavier after the holidays, took a sledgehammer, crowbar, pickaxe over 30, 40 times. If you're watching this and you're in an office, if you're in a bedroom, just look around that room. What do you have there that if there was a fire and the window of the room that you're in did not operate, how would you break that glass if it were impact? You're literally, it would be the equivalent of a rat in a cage or a fish in a bowl or whatever it may be. You're gonna be stuck in that room. And if you have an impact window, if you don't have a reciprocating saw and something to puncture the glass with in the first place, or a K-12 like the firefighters use, it's gonna be very difficult to get through this window. This window over here, multiple times with a sledgehammer, multiple times with a large crowbar. And even now, if I were to come to this window where we already have some separation here, and I probably must have hit this over 50 times, I'd say 30 to 50 times, I still will have trouble getting this out. There's a fire, there's smoke, there's a lot of things going on. It may make things almost impossible to get out. So at the end of the day, egress is there for a reason. You know, it's interesting, even the building next to us and the same rules, what I find interesting, the same rules don't apply to commercial buildings. So actually I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna turn the camera. We have this office building right here. Those are all fixed windows, those are not casements. So if somebody were to get caught in that building and those windows do not operate, they're gonna have, you know, a fire escape at the front door, they're gonna have a back door or a side door. But if somebody gets trapped inside of an office, or if you go to like one of those high-rise buildings where it's all glass, that's literally a death trap in the case of a fire. Now, they should have fire sprinklers, they should have a fire alarm, but if things fail, I would feel much safer being in a building that had operable windows than not. What are your thoughts?